Hi, for iConnect 007, this is Dan Bollier. Today we're in Redmond, Washington, visiting Prototron Circuits and my friend Dave Ryder, president and owner of Prototron Circuits. How you doing, Dave?
I'm good. Good to see you, Dan.
Good to see you. Let's get right to it. I've admired your company for a long time. You've been in business, what, 27, 28 years now?
Right, exactly.
Yeah, let's go back at the beginning. I'm always interested in how companies started and how they fared over the years. So how did you start this company?
Well, I've been in the board industry for 8 or 9 years and worked for a number of the local Northwest board shops. And ultimately ended up in a small quick turn shop and realized, hey, I could probably do this myself. And,
or better.
Yeah, actually better was the case. So off we went from there. We started digging into, finding equipment and ultimately ended up with a space. And, we had a couple of people to start with, co-founder Pat Hanaway and myself back in the day. Within the first year or two, we thought, hey, this might really take off. And turns out we were definitely in the right place. The quick turn, small quantity business started becoming higher in demand at that point. And of course, this is back in the late 80s.
So yeah, and quick turn got hot back then. There were not a lot of people who could do it.
That's
do
right.
It well, yeah.
That's right. An average turn back then was 4 to 6 weeks in a board shop.
Right, or more.
Or longer, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and hence the name, Prototron Circuits,
That's right.
It's
That's exactly
prototypes,
right.
quick turn, that kind of thing.
Prototypes and electronics, Prototron.
Okay, yeah, it made sense. You stuck to it, works. Yeah, so tell me some of the things. I mean, how did you get business, for example? When you
We started out basically, we'd had a handful of connections from previous placements, and we started talking to some of them, and they said, yeah, we'd absolutely have need for your service. So from there, we started doing some mailers, and eventually we went on to hire a salesperson, and that was a pretty big step back in the day, with 5 or 6 people at that time.
Yeah.
Today, of course, we have about 8 or 10 salespeople out there in the field, and a whole different deal today.
Well, the fact you hired a salesperson, if anybody follows what I write, it's a big deal. There's still companies out there that don't hire salespeople, and they've been in business 25
It was
years.
definitely the right move for us to make, and we've never looked back from that point.
No, and you've gone forward with it, and I know that one of the things about this company, knowing a little bit about it, is your on-time delivery. Seems to be your trademark.
Yeah, we've consistently held a 98+% on-time rate for the entire 28 years, which I guess is probably pretty remarkable in the industry.
Yeah.
But if you start out that way, it's pretty easy to continue.
So it's a cultural thing.
Absolutely, it is.
Yeah, I know that, it's supposedly, and I quote this number, I haven't checked it in a while, according to IPC numbers, it's like in the low 80s, on-time delivery, on-time quality, across the industry is about in the low 80s, so you guys do better than that.
Quite a bit better. Yeah. That'd never work in the quick turn line of business.
No.
People are paying for that time. That time's valuable to them, and we understand the importance of that. It's very critical.
And when you're doing a 3-day turn, if you're late, they know it, and they're not giving you another order, right? It's not like production.
It's not just 3 days, it's 72 hours.
72 hours. What can you do in 72 hours? What kind of board?
Oh, we can do a 16-layer blind and buried vias, It's pretty amazing what we can get to at this point. Of course, with the computer technology and things that we have these days that we didn't used to have to the degree we do now has made quite a difference. And of course, along the way we've gotten pretty good at figuring out the timing of things.
Yeah. When you started, what was quick turn?
Well, what we originally started doing was our delivery was 5 days standard, and people were blown away by that.
Right.
They were paying for 2 and 3 week expedites at that point for a dozen boards, and it's like we could do better than that, and we have.
Yeah, and I think it's still valuable. What kind of customers? Who wants a 3-day turn?
Well, it's pretty amazing. In the beginning, we weren't so sure of that, but as it turns out, just about everybody under the sun needs boards fast at one point or another. Sometimes they don't understand the value of that turn until they try it once, and then all of a sudden it's like, hey, this is money in the bank for us. We don't have to wait 3 or 4 weeks to find out our design's good or bad.
Right, right. I would imagine, well, I'll ask you, but I would imagine new product development, you're doing a lot of iterations sometimes for a new product.
Absolutely, that's the case. That's the case. The quick turn, that's primarily what it is.
Yeah, so that it's a nice thing for them too, like dealing with customer ABC or whatever. They'll send it to you and say, try it again, and then try it again. And
that's right. We see several reps sometimes. Yeah. Sometimes customers, are pretty dialed in on what they're looking for, and they do hit it the first time.
Yeah.
Either way, we're here for them.
Well, one of the things, let's go back to the basics a little bit. When you talk about 98% on time delivery, how do you measure that? I know of some companies, if they're going to be late, they call up their customer changes the PO, they call that on time. Is that what you guys are doing? A little cheating there, Dave?
No, really not. Because, at the end of the day, we know the score.
Yeah.
We know what we've really done. And really, those numbers are for us, not just the customer. We're constantly trying to dial things in tighter, better, make sure that we're right there for the customer providing value.
So your PO date, whatever you commit, that's the date.
Yeah.
Miss it or not.
Yeah, certainly we've had our issues from time to time. We'll miss sometimes, but frankly, there's nobody more upset than us when that happens.
Obviously, less than 2% of the time, so that's not too bad.
Right.
That's not too bad. Hey, let's go back a little bit. What do you think? Okay, go back. What was 28 years ago? What's that year?
It was 1987.
1987. Okay, thanks for the math lesson. 1987. What were things like then compared to today? What do you think is some of the biggest differences?
Well, in 1987, we were using the next door neighbor's fax machine, which was quite a marvel at that point.
Yeah.
And so, finally we got to a point where we could afford our own, and man, we were in business then.
Yeah. Was that the fax machine with the curly paper?
That's exactly right, the thermograph paper.
Yeah.
And then we stepped up and bought a 286 or 386 computer to do accounting.
Yeah.
We had not yet put a computer in the shop, and a lot of things were done by hand, obviously, at that point. We were still at a point of using red and blue tape ups. We had no photo plotter at that point. We were using outside services for all that stuff.
Right. Yeah.
But obviously that's all a little different
It's all updated. And then I know we're in Redmond today, but you have the shop down in Tucson. When did you pick that up?
Well, we stepped in there, I think, the end of 1999, and really it was about mid-2000 before we really were off the ground and running with that. There was a number of upgrades and changes that needed to be made to that facility.
Yeah, that probably took a while. I noticed it's interesting. You go from one of the rainiest places to one of the sunnier places in the United States. Do you have an ulterior motive there in doing that?
I just can't find a happy medium.
No, that vitamin D's got to help you out a little bit.
Oh,
that.
It certainly does.
Yeah.
It certainly does. But it certainly gives us redundancy and backup.
Yeah. What do you think of the industry today?
Wow.
Yeah.
It's certainly different than it was, when we started. I believe, I've heard all kinds of different numbers, but there was probably someplace around 1,500 shops at that point.
Yeah, that's the number I use, yeah.
And now I guess there's someplace between 250 and 300,
right.
Something like that. So obviously that's a pretty big difference. And of course the technology today is an amazing difference over what it was, 27 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
It's certainly become more of a science than a science project like it once was.
Right. Okay, Dave, I see you've got a lot of ads out there that say America's Board Shop, Buy American, that kind of thing. And I think after the recession, frankly, the 2008 thing, it's become a more popular thing. We're a little more nationalistic. It's not as cool to say you're going offshore as it used to be. What does that mean to you that you've got that America's Board Shop? What does that mean to you?
Well, we've always taken pride in the fact that everything was made here in the United States. We're obviously American citizens here. We're proud of the work that we do here, and we're proud of our country. We do know that there's a lot of options out there, but I think nothing beats the good old USA.
Well, I think too that, by the way, I agree with you. And then the other thing that happens is, particularly in your neck of the business where you're doing new product development, if I was developing something here, I really wouldn't want it to go overseas while I'm developing it, that's for sure.
Well, there's certainly some security issues that would go along with that. And of course, there's ITAR issues. We're also a mil-spec shop in our Tucson facility, and obviously you're not going to go to another country for that.
Right.
And basically that's the basis of America's Board Shop. We are here in America for America.
In your ITAR, which I know the feds are getting a little more serious about that too.
Yeah, we've seen that.
Yeah, especially in this neighborhood. Now, one other question here as we wrap up. What did you say? You worked here back in '87? Well, probably in '80 to '87, whatever it was. And there were like 7, 8 board shops in the.
No, it was probably about 15 or so in Washington State here.
Yeah.
And frankly, it was a mix of a bunch of shops with maybe 15, 20, 25 people in it. And over the years, they've just kind of died off.
So how many are there now?
Well, it's us and another company doing some rigid flex or flex type circuits.
Yeah, right.
So we're sort of lonely up here now.
I take it.
Not too much, though.
Does that mean you won the war here?
I sure don't look at it like that because, frankly, it was nice having other shops in town.
Probably was, having that critical mass.
That's exactly right. There was a workforce to choose from. There were, backup processes that you could go to another guy and borrow his etcher or whatever may happen.
Yeah.
So, we've had to make some significant changes to support ourselves here so that we don't have that downtime.
It's true. You don't even think of that, but you got to be pretty independent here, don't you?
This is the Northwest.
This is the Northwest, yeah.
That's right.
Yes, I can understand that. Well, I think that's about it. Any other last-minute comments you'd like to mention? Or?
No, I appreciate the time with you here, Dan, and as always, it's good talking with you.
Good talking to you. We've been talking to Dave Ryder, who's the president, founder of Prototron Circuits in Redmond, Washington. For iConnect 007, this is Dan Bollier. Thanks for watching.